Okay.
I just called Tom a wanker, and I think I threw his focus off.
Well, you have to do the voice.
All right, you little wanker.
So, I'm not even done editing the When We Were Young festival draft yet, and there's already breaking news. They've added a third date, and after the hype of last week's episode, I think I might buy a ticket. What about you, man? Are you still out?
Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's a Midwest thing or Irish goodbye type whatever, but the ultimate nightmare is like getting out of something, breathing that sigh of relief, and then two more options to get back in on it arise. You're like,
Right.
oh, well, you're in luck because you can still go. Oh, is it? Oh, I think I missed that one too. No, they did a third one. It's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Nuts.
It sounds interesting. I'm amazed that they're just sticking to the we're going to do it again and again.
The same lineup.
Here we go again. We say it too often on the show.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Well, hey, man, if that's not your thing, they just announced an emo cruise from California to Mexico featuring a lot of good bands, but Dashboard, Under Oath, Newfound Glory Thursday. You going to go on the cruise, dude?
Under Oath cruise? I'm, when I first found out about the Weezer cruise like years ago, I texted my sister immediately and was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to anyone. I was so like on board.
Yeah.
Pun not intended, but like, sorry. Basically, yeah, sure. Why not? If you're going to go on a cruise, might as well be an emo cruise, right?
Right.
People have a weird thing against cruises. I've never been on one. I don't know. I guess I don't think about it that often, but it's like weirdly a hot button topic. They're like, that floating like flu den? No, thank you.
That's what my wife said. So I feel like if there's ever an opportunity for me to go on a cruise, it's going to be alone, which would be sad if it were not an emo cruise.
Well, I guess I get that. They're like, but I don't know. Like, would those same people be like, oh, I've always wanted to take a train somewhere because it's just you get to see.
Right.
You know,
well, at least you see something
a ship.
on a
You can
train,
see all kinds of shit on a ship. That seems amazing. You might see a dolphin or something. I don't know.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about either of those.
I will say this, though. Speaking of getting sick on a ship or sickness during a pandemic, or maybe this is only loosely related, a couple of people reached out on Twitter to ask me if I was all right after almost puking on the mic the other week. I'm okay. I took a test. I'm negative, thank goodness, because obviously my infant son's not vaccinated. So it was just some fatigue, and I thought it was the onset of something, but I was mistaken. So just a little nausea and fatigue, thankfully. Still quite unpleasant, but no, I'm fine. And I appreciate everyone who reached out and asked. So thank you for that.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. All right, so a couple weeks ago, we did this horrendously out of order. A couple weeks ago,
we botched it. We were like, let's do a sophomore album draft. Great, let's rush it and do a bad job. Cool, off to a good start. Are we going to do the debut album episode next? No, we kind of should have done the When We Were Young episode a week before this. Anyway, let's just do it because it's newsy and we'll get it done with. Little did we know that we're going to, for the next like 10 days, keep adding shows. And now, finally, the way this all should have started is the debut album draft. It's here. And I think we did more research for this one. I didn't hold Tom at gunpoint and drag him to a microphone to drag him up and down the court all day on a sophomore album draft. Even though I realized I missed out Coheed, The Killers, even Flogging Molly. There was a ton of sophomore albums that we just swung and missed on. But that's why you guys reaching out on Twitter after the show is so fun, because you always kind of not surprise us with the great picks, but it's like, oh, wow, damn, you guys put some good lists together. So always grateful for that.
Pretty quick to bring in the flogging for missing the picks that they would have preferred us to make. But.
Well, it came up on Shuffle. I'm like, it was kind of unpleasant just because like Shuffle was a dangerous game to play for the next like week. I'm like, miss that one, miss that one, miss that one. Wait, is that a debut? Is that a sophomore album? Well, miss that one. Anyway, I think we're a little better prepared this week. How about you? Kind of. I mean, I texted you beforehand. Have we ever done 3 drafts in a row before?
Have we done 3 drafts in a row? Jesus. No. I think we purposefully try to break them up a little bit.
Well, it's all Michelle Branch for the next for the next business quarter. So I think if our shareholders are listening, know that that's what the next projections are going to feature.
Oh gosh, we'll see how the analytics do then. So yeah, I mean, I did the same preparation I did for the sophomore draft. I scrolled through every artist in my iTunes library and looked at their earliest album. So it wasn't like I did try Googling like best debut pop punk albums, and it just wasn't giving me those results. So I spent more time, but I don't think it was higher quality research. It was just more time doing mid-level research. So we'll see how it ends out. But I have 25 picks, and I'm having a hard time narrowing it down because I think we're going to try to keep it to a tight 5 each.
We're doing 5, and I think it's just going to make the rapid fire honorable mentions that much better. But it puts that extra bit of pressure on like the 5. I don't know. I kind of been liking the 5 lately, but
it makes it way harder for us.
It does. It makes you kind of value those first few picks. You don't just rush through them to get to the back half to save your energy. You're kind of like, okay, this freaking matters. So
yeah.
Anyway, it's fun. We got dice to start it though. It sounds like.
Well, before we actually get into the draft, I do just want to talk about...
To start it sounds like, Tom. Dice.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Here we go.
Sorry, no. There's no rules. What's up?
No, so, like, I do just kind of want to talk about, like, I don't know, the holiness of a debut draft. I don't know, like, if you buy into the... So, like, the argument about, like, the sophomore slump is that, like, the debut album... There's absolutely no expectations. So people probably just love it more because it's this thing that dropped out of the ether. It is this band's entire career with no timeline, everything dumped into 10 songs or so. With the sophomore one, people are like anticipating it. They want the band to up it. But
well, debuts are tricky, right? Like my dad has this music, this like talking point that he references a lot when he's talking about music. It's just kind of like, sometimes a band's been putting in the work and they get a deal and it's songs that they've been kind of, grinding it out with over the last however many years. And so they have a collection of things that have been working in the clubs and the bars and the venues and this and that. So like the debut can sometimes pop because they've had as many years as it took to make it to put on that first record.
And there was, a lot of preening with those first shows. A sophomore album sometimes can be rushed. So
yeah, you got to put that many, Yeah, it's tough. So the sophomore album draft was interesting, especially because we mentioned it last draft, and it kind of is something we probably should have touched on more. You and I, the theme of the show is how bad we are at this. So like, oftentimes we were not getting in on the ground floor for a lot of these.
Yeah.
So the debuts aren't like, oh, who's this? We're the quirky, high fidelity love interest walking through the record store saying, oh, I'll give this a shot. We're just like relying heavily on the Sherpas. That we reference on the show a lot, which we should bring them on sometime, but that's a discussion for a different
fun day. Yeah.
So we're often just kind of like combing through and they just are part of how we know the band and it's fun to track that. But there are a few examples, and we'll get to this today, where I did hear the debuts first, and we'll make note of those. And I'm excited too. But yeah, I think we mentioned it during the sophomore album draft, where like mostly people just throwing catalogs at us like, you guys are... It's insane that you don't know any of this and just take it all. You can just have my iPad or my iPod. I'll buy a new one. Just keep this. Please educate yourself. I think people were just mostly just like handing us shit because they felt sorry for us or something.
I remember when I really got into Less Than Jake, and it was around the time that I discovered torrents. This would have been like, I saw Less Than Jake in like 2005, but I really got into them in like 2007, and I went on the Pirate Bay and typed in like Less Than Jake full discography, and you just download a zip file, I unzipped it, and it was like 280 songs, and to say I came into the game late is an understatement, but like, it was such a treat.
I say this unironically, not trying to sound cool, but I'm a Dude, the song they wrote for the Good Burger soundtrack, it might be my favorite Less Than Jake song. I just really like it. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Does that ruin it too? You're just like, all right, give me all of it. Is there, I don't know. We grew up in a weird time to collect music. Welcome to the show. But anyway, we should roll some dice. We should roll some dice.
Let's roll the dice. Well, evens or odds?
Man, I've been on a hot streak lately. Let's go evens. No. Odds.
All right. Hope I'm not getting in your head there, bud. God damn it, dude. It's a 4 and a 3.
All right. You're not in my head. You're next to me at the craps table in Vegas kissing the dice for me. Blow on them, baby. This one's daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Okay. I'll go first. I think I've been being too high and mighty letting you go first these last few drafts. This is too many drafts in a row. Let's not do a 4th in a row. Okay. We're just having fun. That's all. Okay. So I missed the Killers in the sophomore draft. I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to pick Hot Fuss. The James McCallion soccer team, junior high, his older brother, showed us a bunch of music videos and kind of, or James did, finding out through Billy. But I think I'm not going to pick Somebody Told Me as the song. I'm not going to. But that was the first video I saw, and the claps and the stomps, and I was like, oh, here we go. We talked about the Killers before, kind of the New York Dolls, putting makeup on the eyes. If you read that book, Meet Me in the Bathroom, about music in the New York in the early 2000s, everyone was kind of mad when they showed up because they didn't really drink or do drugs like the Strokes and all them. They were just like ambitious and clean, and they were like, and handsome, and they were like, F these guys because we know they're going to be famous and this is bullshit. And then that's how it happened. So kind of interesting, but I remember seeing this and thinking it was incredibly cool. I wish I would have picked Sam's Town for the sophomore draft because that was really cool to me at the time. I'm going to pick Mr. Brightside as the defining song because I think it kind of went beyond the genre and got crazy radio play. We'd be at Lawrence Park would throw these street dances in the summer. The township would shell out a little money for a DJ and go to a local church parking lot and the kids would run around or whatever. It was as awkward as a school dance. It was just happened to be outside, I guess, with more parents, I guess. It was odd, but maybe just like a small town thing. But I remember people would try, this would come on because they would just basically, the DJ was not a DJ. He just played shuffle on the top 40 hits or whatever. But Mr. Brightside came on and I was just like, oh, hell yes. And not that easy to dance to necessarily. Maybe it's because I'm just an unskilled dancer. But I was like, okay, this is beyond whatever subgenre I wasn't even recognizing mentally at the time. But I'm going to pick that song as my defining hot fuss track. But yeah, Killers taking the top spot today because it's a travesty that they didn't get mentioned for Sam's Town a couple weeks ago.
Dude, speaking of prepping for the show, I forgot that the rule was we're supposed to pick the song that defines the album, not necessarily our favorite. So now I'm trying to do...
You made the rule.
I'm trying to do all these. It's been a rough couple of days, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep
do it
up,
on the fly. Go with your heart.
Shit.
Vote
well,
with your butt.
Okay. So the way I was going to do this, again, I have 25
Vote
picks.
with the dumpy.
And I was having a really, really hard time deciding which album because...
Oh, it's platinum, by the way. I'm still doing the platinum thing.
Oh,
I know
okay.
It was weird the first time, but I still kind of want to just for log it in the minutes, there was a ton of good. Platinum doesn't define good, but it's just kind of emo. It wasn't just a phase or whatever. These were giant efforts, I guess. So I'm going to do it again through that lens, by the way, and Hot Fuss is included on that.
All right. Well, I mean, that kind of inspired me to help me decide on which albums I want to pick. So I tried to find an angle to the game of it to get some of my obvious picks, the ones I pick on every draft, just out of the way. So the way I'm selecting my songs are freshman albums that I was listening to when they came out.
I like that.
Which, again, if you listen to the show, I'm usually discovering a band at the sophomore or the junior album. And then I have a whole discography to go back to.
So people make fun of... Hipsters came up on our Twitter feed the other day. Oh, it's because we were tweeting about Say Anything's minute. And, people out in the early 2010s, late 2000s, there was the check out this effing and everything like that. But, there is something about getting to something first and being there from the ground up that is oddly gratifying. I don't know if it's a human behavioral thing or what, but I do remember I do feel an attachment to the Killers that I don't feel with I guess I can't think up an example on the fly, but I don't know, they were on the OC, a very deep Hot Fuss track. They played live on the OC, which the OC, should we do an OC episode? It comes up a lot, with Death Cab and the Killers and everything. It's a very 2000s show. Anyway, Yeah, I don't know. There's something about like, oh, watching them grow almost, but you have no real ownership, but maybe fans do have total ownership. I don't know, but you want to make fun of hipsters, but also like when you do get in on the ground floor, you're like, it's no big deal, but like I've been there since album number 1, I guess you could say.
I mean, it does feel special, but I would never be the guy who's like making that one of my, I don't know, my selling points that like I knew bands before anyone else did. That noise.
I'm going to be like a foreign vinyl press guy moving forward, FYI. I'm changing my character arc completely.
So
I'm losing my edge.
I gotta pick it. I picked them last draft, but one of my favorite albums of all time is Get Stoked on It by the Wonder Years. It is their
Just get the Wonder Years pick out of the way so we can just enjoy the rest of the episode. But also you sincerely enjoy it, so.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is the true debut album. Some members of the band might deny it. And the song that I picked is What If We Swam Into Nothing as the song that defines the album. Well, no, I picked it as the song that just I like the most. This album is so chaotic and so all over the place that I don't know if there would be a song that best defines the album, because it's about the Kool-Aid Man cheating on you with Captain Crunch and New Jersey as a whole state and sea turtles. And it's just like, is there an overarching theme?
Are they like straight edge as a band?
Soupy is, but I don't think it's part of the band.
I guess I'm just hearing you say those words in order, and I'm hearing them kind of for the first time out of context of the album. I'm like, how many drugs were those motherfuckers doing?
Well, and the whole point of that song with the Kool-Aid Man is that like the Kool-Aid, it was like, I ran blocks, I sold rocks. Was like part of the line. So like you'd think that he knows a thing or two about the hard streets, but I think he was just like a straight edge 19-year-old.
Philly, man. I actually had a coworker from Philly when I was working at one of the workplaces when I lived in Ohio. Keep it as vague as possible for no reason. But he was from Philly, and he's like, yeah, you know what the motto is? I'm like, what? He's like, talk shit, get hit. And I texted other acquaintances from Philly, and they were like, honestly, yeah. I don't know. So I've always been kind of like, I just don't. Being from Western PA, you couldn't feel like like, I don't know. Western PA should be Ohio, and Eastern PA should just be Jersey. Like,
yeah.
Pennsylvania as a concept is a fucking waste of time, I think.
I think that's a good metaphor. I mean, I don't know, similarity between the whole country. Like the middle of it's different than either side of it. It's just a different thing, man. This place is too goddamn big. But no, so, okay, first of all, What If We Swam Into Nothing? Swam is in brackets, which I always thought was kind of fascinating. We talk about good uses of parentheses.
Ooh, that's a fun parentheses title.
And it's, yeah, like brackets, so it's like he actually means something else, but like the metaphor of the song.
It's not like
turtles.
In parentheses at the end, the Captain Crunch song or anything. It's like one of the key verbs or whatever.
Yeah, and like, so I've always loved this song. It's honestly probably one of my favorite love songs. For as goofy as this album is, this is like a really heartfelt song, and I've always loved it. I've always loved the imagery, the meaning behind it. It's about two turtles falling in love, one wanting the other to come back. It's like, swim back to me and I'll be watching the sea for when you dance over the breakers and waltz up the beach. And it's just, I don't know, dude, it's beautiful. Like, it's such a beautiful song, nested in hiding in plain sight in the middle of this total fever dream of some chaos debut album. And I love it. I don't think it defines the record, but I don't think you can pinpoint anything that defines the record because it's just fucking out there, dude. Like, it's so weird. Yeah, so first pick.
Nice.
Gotta do it.
You love Soupy. You just do.
This was like early 2009. I didn't listen at first because the recording quality wasn't great. Then I was working at that fucking haunted event space and just really fell in love with this album.
That was my favorite post show or episode because that went off the rails quick. I could not have worked there.
No, it was truly horrifying at times. But okay, I'm sticking with the same Sherpa. Or you know what? Hold on.
Oh?
Oh no, I gotta play the game. Give me. I don't think you're gonna pick either of the other two albums. So give me Do It For Me Now by Angels and Airwaves.
Okay, here we go. Tom's ground floor picks coming at you hot.
Again, I don't need to tell the story for the 20th time. I hated it when I first heard it. Someone begged me to reconsider, and I did.
As you've been telling it, I don't think you've been emphasizing enough how often you just fell asleep to it. Like it was your meditation app or something. It was just like, I don't know. It wasn't even music to you almost. It was almost medicinal in a weird way.
Well, and that was even before the album came out, when they only had 3 singles. I think it was The Adventure, Valkyrie Missile, and Do It For Me Now. And I had those 3 songs. I was still living at the house on the east side, Pat. Like, it was so long ago. I had these tiny little
We're
Sony
talking
speakers.
years, folks.
I had these tiny, probably 3-watt speakers plugged into my 4-gig blue iPod mini, Generation 2, I believe. And I would just, sleep to those 3 songs every night for years until the album came out. And then that was my sleep album. Just a little fun fact, Clay Aiken's debut album was a sleep album of mine when I was like 12. Oh boy, that dude was a little creepy on track 1. But anyway.
Little Tom, just vibing to If I Was Invisible. Just like everybody else in the country. Don't act like you weren't there. You loved it. We all loved it.
But the song Do It For Me Now, I don't know, dude. It's at a great tempo. The beat is great. And he's doing his rhythmic, I don't know, I don't even know what you'd call it. It was just Tom being Tom in a new way. And I just loved every single second of it. And it's probably still my favorite song of theirs.
Do It For Me Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Part of me had to take a minute to register that, but yeah, you're not going to get any flack from me. Okay, 2 picks. 2 picks. Platinum picks. Ooh. 2 platinum picks for the podcast. I'll stick with the alliteration and go Postal Service. Give Up. Such Great Heights. Yes. Platinum. It's pretty intense to release a debut album and then stop and have it be platinum and just
debut
that's your
and final album.
Right. Yeah. It was their farewell tour as well as their debut everything. No, but okay, so we've talked at length on the show about when you're in the feels, this is a good one. I think some of our old soccer buddies from junior high tweet the show every once in a while and are it's still, I'm in the top 0.1% of listeners on Spotify still now. And it's are you doing okay? Just checking in, but respect. I went back and forth on which song to pick, but not for very long. I'm going to go with Such Great Heights. I just, the Fruity Loops beeps at the beginning, it just has all the elements. And I think it's also the biggest hit. I don't know. I couldn't think of a better one. I just couldn't.
I wonder how Ben Gibbard and Andrew something, if they would appreciate calling it a Fruity Loop beat, because I'm sure they worked really hard for that.
I know. I think it was just because the same group of people in junior high that we listened to that with or discovered it alongside were also very into, maybe this was just a Lawrence Park thing and maybe we were late to it, but downloading that program called Fruity Loops and trying to basically make their own Postal Service album. There was 7 to 19 friends just doing that. They'd rush home and try to do it. I don't know if anybody else had that in their town, but it was an album. It was that kind of album. It just impacted our entire township. Everyone's just this shit's different now, man. Fruity Loops, we got to get, how can I try this? And then, not everybody was open micing it and shit, but everyone had their little, MP3 files on their desktop that they would show their closest, it was just, it was an interesting time, man. It was fucking fascinating. It unlocked something, I don't know what, we were pretty into techno as well as it was actually ska and techno exclusively for a little while, between mid 7th grade, early 8th or something, I guess. But
used to be a proper country.
So maybe that fed into it, kind of this electron, a movement away from. It definitely wasn't a Matchbox 20 Dave Matthews Band sort of vibe. I think for us at the time, not a ton of acoustic guitars to be found, which might be why somebody decided to sign Vampire Weekend years later, just only electric guitars. Anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on. Rambling too much.
No bleeps, no bloops.
No bleeps, no bloops. Wankers only.
You know what? It's kind of crazy. I get to pick this so late, but Fever You Can't Sweat Out, Platinum,
Sure.
Shiny. Lying is the most fun a girl can have is my pick, though.
Wow.
And not I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. I think there's some Ryan Ross lyrical things that make it. I think maybe I'm trying to be like I'm zagging and trying to be cool with this pick, but at least I'm aware about it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm picking Lying is the most fun a girl can have. I think it's, I think we talk about this album deservedly quite a bit, but fewest dollars spent to achieve platinum status, I'd have to imagine.
Right.
Any thoughts there, Tom?
Yeah, maybe Billie Eilish's initial release would have fewer dollars put into it, but probably not by much. Yeah, great ROI if we're going to be talking about time and money put into this album, because it was shockingly low.
Yeah, so it should be I Write Sins, Not Tragedies, but I don't know. Let's Get These Hearts Beating Faster.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Testosterone Boys and Harlequin Girls. It's just very Ryan Rossi. I think it defines better how weird that was. I think, I Write Sins in the sands of the YouTube algorithm, which is how I guess we measured time in the emo-verse, apparently, on this show anyway. But I think it's become almost like you forget what that album was and sounded like and what made it weird and different and new. So I think that's why I'm picking Lying is the Most Fun a Girl Can Have for my defining song off the album for this playlist.
Yeah, man.
That,
I like it.
I think ends my turn. But yeah, Fever You Can't Sweat Out, 2005 was in the middle of the decade, but I think we have yet to come up with evidence that points to it not being the most critical year of the decade for like us and what we talk about on the show.
Right, for sure.
Although there's been some weird like Riot slander, and we're like softening on Riot a little bit, but that's just debates for a different day.
I'm not. I'm still hard as Alrighty, my friends, I hope you're enjoying the episode, but please allow me just a second to give a shout out to our Council of Elders, our top tier Patreon supporters. In this group, we have Johnny Leftwich, Jason Carey, Anonymous, Chris Lukey, Nathan Eshelman, Drew Edwards, Carrie Sanchez, Melanie, Devin Booz, Reed Gober, and Coral Lusty. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. It really is incredible. All the opportunities that you all have given us to do a lot of fun projects with the show. If you would like to check out the Patreon, you can head to patreon.com/reminiscent to see the 3 tiers that we have. Again, that's patreon.com/reminiscent. Thank you all so much, and back to the episode.
So Tom just cursed. We took a break. We're coming back.
Everyone's real uncomfortable about it. Okay. So this is an album. Actually, let's just keep the theme going. I really didn't like this album either. And Adam, who played guitar in our band, he let me borrow the CD, and he was just like, please, man, listen to it again. And I'm just such a people pleaser. I was like, okay, yes, sir. And I went in my room and listened to it again. And I don't know what it was. Something just clicked. This is around the time when I was doing Ski Club with Adam and Cameron and Seth. And there was just a lot of hype on those buses. We were listening to Under Oath and shit like that. So slowing it down with Rookie of the Year.
Dangerous combination for chaperones. I'm sure they were like, everything.
So, going from that vibe to slowing it down with Rookie of the Year and their debut album, The Goodnight Moon,
Ooh.
It felt just like
this is like your beloved list of all beloved lists.
I know. Yeah, this turned into one of my favorite albums ever.
Yeah, you could just write Desert Island draft on this episode and your picks would be the same, I feel like.
Probably. But what's interesting, though, is, I think if I were to not do, albums I was listening to at the time of release, I would have maybe different picks, but it's actually turning out to be much better for me than I thought it would be. But yeah, man, so Rookie of the Year, I just, something about it clicked the second time, and it just took me away, man. And I was obsessed with it. I listened to nothing but Rookie of the Year for a long time. And my relationship with the singer of the band, Ryan, kind of developed over time, and I ended up traveling to North Carolina to his house to record him a couple times. He recorded a guest spot on my band's album. We've just become friends. We've stayed at each other's places. And he actually asked me if I wanted to be in Rookie of the Year at one point. And the timing just, it kills me to say it. I could have been the drummer of Rookie of the Year. And I had to say no because I was in college. Worst business decision of my life. Or maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, the song, I think that defines...
I'm just going to let you flounder there for a second. Just like thinking about it hard as you say the words.
This song that defines the album is, I think it was the leading single. I mean, it's the only music video they have for it. Liars and Battle Lines. I think it's like the thesis statement in terms of lyrics, in terms of vibe, and just like the songwriting, the musicianship in general. Very spacey. It's like a really heavy song to listen to. Like, I'm not going to have a good day after listening to this song, but as you know, those are my favorite days. So, yeah, Liars and Battle Lines by Rookie of the Year off their first album, The Goodnight Moon. I can't think of like an album that I hold more dear than this, and especially because I don't think I listen to much other stuff similar to Rookie, so they like hold this entire vibe. Like, if I'm looking for a vibe, they are the only option, and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another pick. Sorry.
Yes, you do.
I was just in my head a little bit there. So, okay. I'm going to bring it back to Ryan, main music Sherpa. This is cutting the end of the decade close, but it does fit within. You've heard me talk about the band before. They're like one of the only bands that came out after 4 Year Strong and did something very similar, but unique enough for the band itself to have longevity. And by longevity, I mean like 6 years before they eventually broke up because they had other stuff going on. But the band Me vs. Hero out of, I think it's Blackpool, England, is just one of my favorites. And they are a very, very special band for me. And it breaks my heart that they broke up. They were only in the States once. So I actually heard them. Yeah, they just had an EP out, and then this album came out. Sounded like shit. They remixed it. I think they might have re-recorded a lot. They came to America once, and I just didn't know about it. And then the second time they were going to come, I think it sold out too fast, and then their like visas didn't allow them in the States, and they ended up not playing anyway. And then they broke up a couple years later, and it was just like the worst. Like, I would have done anything to see this band. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like I don't talk about them enough, but they are one of the most special bands to me. I don't really know exactly what it is. There's like something in the lyrics and just their entire presentation that it grips me in a way that like a lot of other stuff that I really love doesn't quite like hold my emotion so strongly. But yeah, their debut album, Days That Shape Our Lives, the title track, Days That Shape Our Lives, obviously is the thesis statement for the album. And it's just like, it's them musically firing on all cylinders. Sam's lyrics are great. And I don't know, man, it gets me, and I get it. And it's a nice relationship I have with the song.
I think we're learning a lot about Tom today, everybody. Thanks for letting us in. Okay. This might be When We Were Young draft recency bias, but it's on the platinum list. We're keeping the platinum train running. So far, it's been Hot Fuss, Give Up, Fever You Can't Sweat Out, and Now Let Go, Avril Lavigne's debut.
Whoa.
I want to pick Complicated as the song. Yeah, she's like, we talked about it last week on the When We Were Young thing, which is like, oh yeah, and Avril effing Lavigne's going to be there.
Right.
And it was hard to think about this, think about the episodes we've done, think about the decade, see her on New Year's Eve with Travis Barker, talk about the When We Were Young fest, just see the name again, like kind of in front of you in that pink and black lettering. And not pick it as one of the, like jamming out to that song. I think we mentioned this quote when we did an Avril Lavigne episode, I think, years ago at this point. Might have been like one of the first ones we tried to do when we switched to doing like an emo pop punk pod. But, apparently Ian McKellen once described her as, quote, a post-grunge Valkyrie with the wounded soul of a poet and the explosive pugnacity of a Canadian, end quote. Which is just a cool way to talk. But yes, I think complicated over Skater Boy because I think I liked it better. And I think Skater Boy gets kind of the YouTube algorithm treatment because of how it's spelled. And I think that's fun for people to remember. But I don't want to forget how jammable and much of an earworm Complicated was. Like, I don't want that to get lost.
For sure. And I think it fits the album.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like the not whiny relationship thing, but that teen, very relatable. Even though I haven't had a girlfriend necessarily yet, I like totally get this. The song is about me, obviously. I think like Skater Boy was super fun and like the bubblegum, whatever. Maybe that's selling it short, but you know what I mean? Like kind of the radio. But Complicated was, for a preteen, devastating, right? So
for sure.
And all due respect to Avril Lavigne, just the absolute goat. So gotta pick it, I think. I think you gotta, Tom.
Hey man, I'm not here to argue with you.
Okay. Which brings me to my fifth pick. We're going to have a lengthy, spirited honorable mention.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I'm just going to go in a row. This has never happened before. I rank my doc before I draft. And usually, so I scroll down and cross things off as we go.
Yeah.
I want to pick All American Rejects self-titled. Platinum. Whew. Swing. And I mentioned this, I think I had to burn this anecdote last week, but I remember my brother having a keyboard at home and just trying to write this song over and over. And you were very polite to be like, Pat, I think you should maybe not listen to Swing all day, every day and try to write a song when you're not listening to that song all day, every day. I was like, I don't know. I think I'm tapping into something kind of new with it. It's like, no, not only don't you know how to play the piano, you lack some severe talent that the All American Rejects clearly have. So, but I just remember listening and having my fingers on the piano, like, yes, I am music, but just writing shittier versions of a song that I just was really into at the time.
But hey, man, that was the band.
He said, as soon as I heard him say beseech, I'm like, you got my attention. And he kept it until the last. It was one of the CDs out of my sister's binder, I think, even though James had turned me on to the band maybe, but where you're just a kid and you have the time to sit down and you hear the first song and then you don't stand up until the last song has finished playing. You're just like, I guess this is my afternoon. So anyway, I'm going to pick it. Swing is kind of the obvious pick, I think, but yeah, Platinum. What a successful band. Have we mentioned that on the show before, that this band is just fucking massive?
Once or twice.
Yeah. Anyway, them's my picks.
I love it. I really love that song. And I actually have kind of a sad story about it. But like, again, we were just ripping off everyone else's shit because we were 13-year-olds in my mom's basement trying to make music. And I was just learning guitar. Maybe we were like 14 or 15, but Zach could like kind of keep a beat on the drums. So I was like, hey, Zach, let's switch. I want to play guitar. You play drums. Let's play swing. Because I had kind of learned it on guitar. I didn't know how to sing, but I was going to fucking try, dude. So I get on the mic and I'm playing guitar and, the guitar part's like, da-da, and it's like a slightly different rhythm than what he's singing. And me, again, having never in my life tried to play guitar and sing, I decided to do it in front of you all. And I just couldn't do it. Like my hand was doing something different and it was just a nightmare. And I remember Zach playing the drums, just shaking his head no. And it was such a huge blow to my ego.
He wasn't like a thrilling drummer either, though.
No, he had played like twice in his life, but he can go do, ka, do, ka. That's all he had to do. And so it was like, hey, man, you're not killing it either, but we're here trying to have fun. Give me a break.
He was like technically more like baseline proficient, but it's tough that first. You never try to strum and sing. That's why you almost did a better thing playing that one song on drums in front of those girls you invited over in middle school, because at least you just focused on one task and they could either take it or leave it, I guess.
Jesus. Figure .09 by Linkin Park.
That's right.
Oh boy.
What's interesting is I remember learning about the band of this band's name and being young and not knowing anything about anything at all. And I still don't. All I know is that I know nothing for sure. Anyway, just be like, wow, these guys, they don't seem to have very high self-esteem, do they? You know, All American Rejects. Wow. They're a bunch of handsome looking fellas. I wonder what went wrong there. Anyway, and then just like the falsetto and everything about it was like All American Rejects. I'm like, oh, Rejects. So they must be like, you know, I had no idea what to expect sonically, I guess. And then when you hear the falsetto and you hear all of this, you're just like, okay, I still get it, but it was way different than what I expected. And like,
right.
should I like, I'm rolling the windows up with how much falsetto is coming at me in the first hit off this album, but like also turning it up in my own little cocoon. So it's kind of like the experience of being, hearing them for the first time and not knowing at all how to receive it. It was just so unique and new and fun. I think if we're doing the debut album draft, it was about as unique of a noise and band name and experience, I think, as the, you know, the Killers fall into that category too. Like the Killers, oh, and then you hear Mr. Brightside, you're like, or Smile Like You Mean It, for example. You're just like, okay, this is not exactly like the Motorhead vibe I was expecting with the name like the Killers. So don't judge a book by its cover, I guess, is just the lesson. But yeah, super fun debut, first time listening experience for sure.
All right. Well, yeah, no, I agree. It was such a good album. I'm hesitant to do my last pick because there's so many that I'm leaving on the board that could easily have been any of my 5. But I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to pick Where I Want to Be by The Dangerous Summer. This was an album, Reach for the Sun, that... So Megan won. My girlfriend...
This makes more sense. You're like the bands I got in on the ground floor on. It makes sense, I think, looking back at your picks. I'm like, okay, Tom had a editorial view about how he was going to go about his business today, and it all checks out.
Well, I mean, this one was a bit later. So like, I think it was either late 2008 or early 2009 when it came out. My girlfriend Megan introduced me to them at the time. This is Megan 1. I'm currently on Megan 3. But I don't know. It was unmemorable. I didn't even remember that she introduced me to them. And this has been a theme of my life where like, I didn't remember it. And then a buddy of mine, I told this story. We did an episode on Where I Want to Be. I told the story of my buddy Tyler, who picked me up on his way from Philly in DC to go back to Erie because he was delivering a sandwich for $40 off of Craigslist. It didn't make any sense, but we were leaving DC. We were stuck in traffic and he's like, hey man, I've really been digging this band. You want to check him out? He put on The Dangerous Summer and like immediately it was just like, we were hooked. Like it was interesting because I had hung out with this guy. He was always there at Eaton Park. He was at all the shows, but the two of us had never hung out together. So when we put on this album, it was like, it just demanded my full attention. So like we literally did that 7.5 hour drive in almost total silence. And we just listened to this album like 10 times in a row. And it took over my life for like a year and a half. And like, it's just one of my favorite bands ever. You know, they're from Baltimore. I was living in DC at the time. So I saw them maybe 4 or 5 times a year for a couple years. And I don't know, man, I just had such a close relationship with this album. And as I look back on my list, every song and every album that I picked is something that I listened to a lot when I was on my own in a particularly melancholy state. But there was like this little glimmer of like, but it's a big road out there and there's like still things to do and it's okay. Like it wasn't like laying on the floor, but it was like
Tonight
almost very...
we will make a difference.
Shut the up. It was... Oh boy. I'm never going to live that one down. But all my picks are like, they weren't like super sad. It was just very like contemplative almost. And yeah, there was a feeling of like, tonight will make a difference when I was listening to it. And yeah, so like I love this band. I, got in on the ground floor because 2 people introduced me to them. And of course, I went back to Megan and I was like, oh my God, you got to listen to this band. And she was like, yeah, I introduced you to them a couple months ago and you didn't give a shit. And my wife still is angry with me about that to this day about other bands with the same
old
scenario.
wounds, man.
So remind the people, what were your picks? Because we're done.
I'll just
we
scroll
did it.
to the top of my... Hey! All right. Wee. The Killers, Hot Fuss, Postal Service, Give Up. What's the name of that band again? Fever You Can't Sweat Out by... What the is the name of that band? Panic at the Disco. Emote at the Location. Avril Lavigne, Let Go. All American Rejects, self-titled.
Nice. I had Get Stoked on It by the Wonder Years. We Don't Need to Whisper by Angels and Airwaves. The Goodnight Moon by Rookie of the Year. Days That Shape Our Lives by Me vs. Hero. And Reach for the Sun by The Dangerous Summer. And for the honorable mentions, I just wrote the song names. Is that okay? I forgot I forgot we were doing albums.
Let's just do rapid fire and see how we feel in our hearts.
All right. Kick it off
first. Okay. The Used. 2 platinum albums. Maybe our fans are right that we're dumb for not talking about them because they were so insanely successful. I'm realizing. Anyway, their self-titled debut, and I'm going to pick Taste of Ink off that. Here I am, live and learn. And all right, back to you.
Oh, that's the
Platinum.
Used?
That's the Used, my boy.
That's a good song. They're good.
You heard it here first, Adrian.
All right, give me...
They are, Tom. 2 platinum records later and 20 full years. Tom's willing to admit, yeah, that was a pretty good song.
Give me Addicted by Simple Plan, because this was my gateway into pop punk, this song alone.
Yeah.
And I loved it at first because I love screaming dick.
Hey, it was a cafeteria game for many of us.
Yeah.
Just who can say penis louder and louder and louder. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus's debut, Don't You Fake It, was platinum, Tom. I didn't know that.
Whoa.
I would never have guessed it. It was everywhere. It took over our whole county. People were using it as basketball warm-up music during the basketball season, which was, when you're in some of the more rural parts of Erie County, pretty off-putting. But I was like, damn, this is a popular band. I'm going to put Face Down as it just was there. It was them. I think it still is.
Awesome. Give me Say Anything Else by Cartel.
Yeah.
Gotta have
also
it.
platinum. Did you already do Yellow Card?
No, their debut album was
Avenant.
That's not their debut. That's their 4th album.
No.
Yeah.
Look it up.
There's One for the Kids and midget tossing and all kinds of shit from the 90s.
Okay. Then somebody's lying to me.
It's their 4th album.
Hold on. I really want to work this out right now.
All right.
I'm looking it up.
All right.
Because we're going to do Sum 41 next because there's disputes about what, Half Hour of Power. Is that an album or is it not?
Yeah, Ocean Avenue is their 4th album.
Wow. I must have... Never mind. Okay. What about All Killer No Filler? Are you going to count that or is Half Hour of Power an album?
How many songs are on Half Hour Power?
I don't know, a half hour's worth?
Skip
it. Pass.
Okay.
Yellow Card, pass. Sum 41, pass. Who cares? Rapid fire. I'll hit you with this. Wolf Mother, self-titled. The song Woman, which is a top 100 song for me. I love them very much. And at the time, I heard the riff and was like, oh, f***.
All right. My next 2 are going to be ones that I could have been picked. Give me Ocean and Atlantic by Mayday Parade.
Bing bong. Cool. Give me Boxcar Racer.
Fuck yeah!
Self-titled. I Feel So.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Whoa.
When I forgot we were doing the song that summed up the album, I picked There Is because I love that song.
You do love that song. Letters to God also fucking rips.
Oh my God. All right. Give me.
That's exactly. You summed it up best. Oh, brother.
Give me.
Makes me want to write a letter to God too.
Prepare to Be Digitally Manipulated by 4 Years Strong.
I will. And nice pick. Head Automatica, Decadence, Beating Heart, Baby. Tell me, is this love for real?
Nice. What a song. Hey, you know what? Whoa, by Forever the Sickest Kids.
Possibly my favorite song ever. And favorite music video ever.
Yeah.
I love everything about that song and band and Hype Train. We invented the Hype Train just watching it. We're like, we have to come up with a name for this amount of energy. And we got to talk to Shane Drake about it. That was such a fun episode. Yeah, we did an episode on the video, and we did an episode with the music video director. Yeah.
But yeah, this is another band that I was listening to from their first album and loved it.
Okay, with my last 4 honorable mentions, you'll realize that we're trying to make these episodes better and not just pick the same shit over and over. Because these are the next 4. I'm going to read them in succession. Paramore, All We Know Is Falling, Emergency. Motion City, I Am the Movie, The Future Freaks Me Out. Fall Out Boy, Take This to Your Grave, Grand Theft Autumn, and Taking Back Sunday, Tell All Your Friends You're So Last Summer. I think for years, those would have been my first 4 picks. But
yes,
I wanted to do the platinum thing, stuck to it, and I'm happy with that decision.
Yeah, I would have picked any of those as well. But again, I'm trying to go for... I was not listening to any of those bands on their debut albums.
As many consecutive episodes in a row with the Wonder Years mentioned. Just kidding. When we do drafts, it's kind of tough because, I mean, we both do it. I don't know. People seem to be okay with it. And there's like a little mini fan club within the fans that are like thrilled with your Wonder Years fandom. Like, yeah. If there's anything that gives me comfort in this world, it's the consistency of Tom's undying love for Dan Soupy Campbell. And maybe it puts them at peace knowing that you guys also look so much alike. There's like a glitch in the Matrix or something. Maybe it just like calms people. I don't know.
All right. So I'm going to rapid fire my 10, I guess. Give me Mutiny by Set Your Goals.
Yeah.
Oof. Really fun episode that we did. We also did an episode on Detroit by Fireworks. God, what a fucking album. And I huge swing and a miss for not picking their sophomore album because that thing is a banger too. Give me The Beast from the East by Here I Come Falling. My first tattoo ever was lyrics from this song. And Here I Come Falling just ruled my life for a solid 2 years. I'm going to go with Points of Authority by Linkin Park off of Hybrid Theory. I'm going to go with Dakota by A Rocket to the Moon. I forget the name of the album, but I loved this band in 2009. Michael by Bedlight for Blue Eyes. That might not be the thesis of the album, but I loved this album. Stick Stickly by Attack Attack. Why not? Let's go for it.
Sure.
Oh, man. We're going to keep it heavy with To Plant a Seed by We Came as Romans, another band that I fucking worshipped. And then, give me Last Chance to Lose Your Keys by Brand New. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Can't deny it. And then, you know what? I see again, trying to make the episodes better. I'm going to put dead last, The Best of Me by The Starting Line, one of my favorite songs of all time. Brutal.
Yeah. Maybe we're overthinking it. It's like we've learned the rules of blackjack and now we keep losing hands because we keep trying to hit at like 17 and shit. Or we're staying at like 14 because we think the deal... Anyway. Whatever. Overthinking it perhaps, but yeah. Hello. Hi. 3 drafts in a row. Whew. I'm tired. How about you?
Yeah, man. But dude, it is made for some amazing playlists. I'm turning into a playlist boy. I have been loving making these playlists.
You've changed, dude.
You can find the playlist on Apple Music and Spotify. I tried to do Amazon Music, but like I already pay for Amazon shit and they wanted me to pay more money just to make a playlist. So if there's anywhere else we can make it, we're also putting them on YouTube. You can check it out in the show notes at reminiscentpodcast.com/episode/261.
Nice try, Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos.
You did it!
Jeffrey Bezos.
I think that's a different
Jeffrey
song.
Bezos. You did it! Jeffrey Bezos! Jeffrey Bezos! Jeffrey Bezos! Congratulations! Okay.
Man, I had a good time, man. I regret nothing. This is a fun episode. It's going to be a fun playlist.
Same.
I love it.
Best third album draft. The thing about third albums... Somebody has dyed their hair by then, probably.
And I'm going for Wonder Years again. You know I am, because Suburbia is their best album, maybe.
I'm gonna have to go with the All American Rejects. They just kept coming out with platinum. Okay, I think that's it. On to the post show. No songs of the week.
Oh, shiz. Yeah, songs of the week.
Okay. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Because I've got one.
Let's
Then go, because I thought I was ready, but then I didn't. I wasn't.
I'm not ready either.
Okay. Sent to us by a listener named Steve. It's a YouTube video he gave me. It wasn't on Apple Music or anything, which is telling of pretty much only that we still rely heavily on our friends to recommend music to us. But it's called Big Boy by Durry, Durry. And I couldn't tell if it was like a joke song at first, but it's not. But it's hilarious, like objectively funny. But it's one of the best songs I've heard in a long time. He jokes about being just a tall person. And it's like a really good, like, alty, home recorded, like DIY song thing. But it's also fucking funny. I don't know. Everything about it is just delightful. So I'd look that up on YouTube. Big Boy by Durry.
Sweet.
And thanks to Steve for the recommendation.
Thanks, Steve. He was there with us for the
for
the Hot Fuss days at a soccer club. Man.
Yeah, when we mentioned James, Steve was probably standing there in most of this, right, most of the moments we're referencing. So he was nearby somewhere.
Always in good company. I'm still on my Japanese pop punk kick. Give me the song New Hype by See You Smile. Just killer. Such a good song. It was from last year, 2021. And, you know, I kind of wanted to talk about this on the episode, but there's like this new, I don't know, phase of bands not really doing full lengths. They're putting out like 5 EPs in a row in rapid succession. Personally, I don't like that vibe.
Let's take it to the post show, Tom.
Ooh, let's take it to the post show because I've got a wild story.
Sure. What a tease. We should do local radio. Drive time.
All right.
Coming up after the break. You wouldn't even guess what happened to me last night at the restaurant. It was wild. All right. Catch you in a few.
Love you all. Bye. Damn, there are some super good debut albums out there. Honestly, some of my favorite of all time. You know what else is my favorite? When you hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. Let us know which debut albums are your favorite and which song you think represents the entire album. I'm sure we missed a lot. I already apologize greatly, but I really look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you all so much for listening. We love you all so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.